What's good, everybody? It's Yano coming at you with some more diving, this time from across the pond. That's right, I just got back from a trip to Portugal. It was fabulous, and I was lucky enough to sneak in some diving. I just wanted to show you where it was on the map. So here we have Portugal. We zoom into Peniche. We went there, spent a couple of days. I got in touch with a dive shop there. Haliotis, I think. I'm totally butchering that name, I'm sure, as I will all the other names I try to say here. But they were fabulous, great shop. I'll get more into that a little bit later. They do a lot of diving around Berlingues here, which is a National Reserve park. Actually, the conditions were calm enough that day that we went beyond this. We went approximately right here. In fact, you can't even see it on the Google map until you look at satellite view. So I shortballed it a little bit. It's actually right here. And there's a name for it, at least locally. It's not even named on the map. So I recorded myself saying it semi-correctly, I think.
Farilhões.
Farilhões. Yeah, the name's going to be in the title with the correct accents on it. Farilhões. I'm sure I'm saying that really wrong, but anyway, interesting enough, you zoom in on this and it's really blurry. I don't really know why that might be, because you zoom in on this one and, you get much better resolution. So I don't know. I guess Google Satellite just didn't spend a lot of time looking at this one. But anyway, I wanted to show you where that was in relation to Peniche in Portugal. And so let's take a look. I have a couple of pictures I want to show. Let's look at those now. This was actually in between dives. When I'm in diving mode, I don't do a lot of video pictures before a dive. I kind of been locked in. I'm worried about, would I forget this? I forget that. I just want to get in the water without making a fool of myself kind of thing. So I don't have any video or pictures from before the dive, but this was in between dives. Let's look at the next one. Boy, look at that. So these are actually uninhabited islands. Berlingues is a habited island. At least from what I've been told, there's a hostel there anyway that you can stay at. I guess somebody has to work it. I don't know. I didn't go to Berlingues. The rest of the group went. They said there wasn't much there in terms of infrastructure, so I don't know. The dive people told me that island is inhabited. This one is not. There is a lighthouse on top of this, which I don't think is shown in the pictures, but anyway. To the profile for the first dive. I put the temperature graph up, not super exciting. It was pretty constant throughout, as the ocean tends to be. 66 on the surface, so what do we got? About 63 at depth, maybe 62. I'm surprised it changed that much, actually. My guide and the guy I was with were freezing the entire time, apparently. I was pretty comfortable. I was in 7mm wetsuit with hood and gloves. They did not have gloves. I don't know why. But there was one point in the second dive where I was feeling a little chilly, but for the most part, I was pretty comfortable in my 7mm and 63 degrees. Yeah, I got down pretty far, 66 feet, and a dive time of 37. Let's just get into the movies. I'll keep talking. We gonna play? There we go. Yeah, so I will say we didn't see anything totally radically awesome and rare in terms of fish anyway. You can see a little one swimming around there. It was mostly nudibranchs. She called them nudibranches. I thought it was nudibranch, and I think, hold on, I actually just Googled the pronunciation. Let me listen to that real quick. Nudibranch is what Google says, so what the hell do I know? I don't know how to say it either. Nudibranch, okay. Yeah, this was obviously in Portugal. I can't speak a word of Portuguese, so that's always kind of concerning going into these situations for me anyway. I always feel like such an idiot. But my guide was a very fluent English speaker. That's her in front of me here. And the owner of the shop was a very fluent English speaker. There she is. She's trying to show me something here. So that was at least 2 at the shop. So yeah, if you ever find yourself in Portugal, in Peniche, want to go diving, highly recommend this shop. Haliotis, I think. I know I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. I will put a link to their website in the description. The other guy I went diving with, part of our group, he was from Belgium. And he was actually on paternity leave. That's not him with 3 tanks. I'll talk about that guy in a second. Yeah, the guy from Belgium was on paternity leave for like, I don't know. They get a long time in Europe, I think. So he said he was just kind of vacationing the southern coast of Portugal and into Spain. The Algarve region, I believe, is what you call the southern part of Portugal. Again, on the pronunciation. But yeah, pretty sweet paternity leave, I guess you could say. Actually, his wife and new baby showed up at the end of the dive, so at the shop. They did not come on the boat. It's like, man, it's a pretty cool wife letting him do this, and there's a baby in tow. But anyway, yeah, not a whole lot to see, unfortunately. Even the nudibranches, they're tiny little sea slugs that can get exotic colors, can have exotic colors. But tiny being the bad part here, because they're just not going to show up that well on the GoPro. She kept trying to point them out, and you know, it's just like Cozumel. Sometimes when you gotta stop and really point at something, and chances are I'm just like, what? I don't know. What is that? I don't see it. And you can tell too. There's a little current down there, nothing like Cozumel level, but you can see things kind of swaying in the current. Of course, these dive guides are just like, you know, they're on ropes. She can stop on a dime and just sit there and look at something, and like I'm trying to look over her shoulder, and I'm getting pushed this way and that with the current, and so I'm just like kind of swimming around, trying to stay still. Like, what is she looking at? There's some fishies. And then I have the perpetual problem of, you know, I don't know where my camera on my head is actually pointing, so I think I got at least one semi-decent photo of a large nudibranch. Large meaning about 1 inch long, maybe 1.5 inches. Or sorry, I'm in Europe. I gotta do metric system. 3 centimeters maybe. Yeah, that was so this dive was very interesting in terms of, well, let me check something real quick. Can I just click on this and have it show me things? Of course not. Ah, there's some Llano sauce for you, coming at you from Portugal. Yeah, hold on. I gotta like pause it or move it to the next video to figure out which one I'm at, so I just want to make sure the end doesn't sneak up on me like it has before many times. Peniche, Farilhões, dive 1. Okay, I think we got plenty to go. I just like to keep that in mind. Yeah, this was my first European dive. I brought all my gear over, everything, even the wetsuit. I was on the fence about doing that. I Googled it, and the consensus generally was, bring your gear. You're going to regret it if you don't. Although the guy from Belgium didn't bring anything, and he survived the experience, so yeah, she pointed out something here, and I'm just like, what? All I see is rocks. I don't know. Oh, this little corridor, man, yeah, I barely fit through here. Yeah, I was having flashbacks to Cozumel, where our tiny little dive instructor there, Nina, can squeeze through a quarter-sized hole, you know, and I'm just like, probably gonna go up and around if I can, but I managed to get through there. I don't remember kicking a whole lot coming through there, so that was good. But you can see I'm kind of bracing myself on the rocks a little bit. You know, you're never supposed to touch anything, but I figure if I can, there's a sea star, we'll say. White one, yeah, okay. Yeah, I did see a few of those around. Yeah, if I'm about to go banging in and bashing into a wall, it's probably better if I can kind of stick out my finger and just cushion the blow, push myself away gently rather than, you know, mashing into the entire thing. What was I talking about? Oh, the European dive experience. So I brought all my gear. Yeah, the good part of that is you get on the boat, you're comfortable with everything. The bad part is you got to haul it around with you and most likely pay for it. I actually got super lucky. Shout out to Air Canada. I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I did not pay for 2 check bags. I only paid for 1. Not sure why. It says clearly on their website, first check bag, international flight, $75. Second, $100. I was this close to prepaying for the check bags, and I didn't do it. And I got to the airport. We flew out of Charlotte. We went Charlotte, Toronto, Lisboa, and then Lisboa, Toronto, Charlotte in reverse. And both ways, they only charged me for 1. In Charlotte, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Probably should have said something. I didn't. Shame on me. But on the way back, she, explicitly told me, you know, I'm only going to charge you for 1 check bag. She gave a reason. I don't remember what it was, but shout out to Air Canada. So I saved $200 on not checking or not getting charged a second check bag. So I brought my dive gear for free, which was awesome. Still a pain to lug around, but oh, and the other cool thing about Lisboa Airport, all the luggage carts are free apparently. You just grab them and throw all your crap on there, so minimal luggage carrying through the Lisboa Airport. Lisboa and Lisbon, same thing. In Portugal it's called Lisboa. I don't know why we call it Lisbon, but I'll use those interchangeably. But brought all my gear over, which was awesome. Lots of differences though. So the dive boat, and you'll see it in the here we go again. What are you showing me? I just don't know. What is that? I don't know. I don't know, Marcy. I don't know, Marcy. There's Jonas. Jonas, yeah, his name is Jonas. Jonas from Belgium. He had his GoPro in tow as well. But the dive boat was a rigid hull inflatable. At least the sides were. I think it did have a fiberglass bottom hull. I think that's the nautical term, the hull. But it was all rigid inflatable along the sides. She wants to check my air. Talk about that in a second. So it was back roll only into the water, which I am not very comfortable with at all. I've done that a few times. Let me think. I've done that. Actually, I've done that more than a few times. I've done that, I think, in Myrtle Beach area diving. And I did it in Cozumel a couple of times. In Myrtle Beach, you actually had a deckhand sitting there and basically pushing you off. No such help here. It was you roll yourself off. Yeah, and it's just a little more nerve-wracking to me than stepping into the water. But no problem. See, I do a back roll into the water, and I think you're just kind of supposed to do a back roll and then pop your head up. I don't know if I'm weighted weird or if I'm just freaking out or what, but I always end up doing like a roll under the water, where I do like a somersault under the water before I come up. And I did that in Cozumel once, came up under the boat, banged my head on the bottom of the boat. That was not a pleasant experience. And I think especially ever since then, I'm just like, I don't really like back rolling into the water. But did it twice this time, no problems. So there was that. The other big difference is the tanks, and here's one you can kind of, well, I thought we were going to see one. They got these short, stubby tanks in Europe. At least that's what we used. I bet she hates when I turn this big floodlight on. I've noticed that about the dive guides. They all carry spotlights, every single one of them. I've never seen a dive guide with a floodlight. And she's pointing at things, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to get it, if I want to see it, especially for a camera, I need to turn my floodlight on. And I was trying to be cognizant of not drowning her light out. I think I did a few times. You saw it there. I think they do that because it's easier to, or I think they carry the spotlights because it's easier to point things out that way. You know, you got a narrow beam of light and say, look at here, whereas, you know, my big floodlight, you can't really point at something with it. Yeah, no clue what she's pointing out there. What was that? I don't know. It just looked like regular plant stuff swaying in the water breeze. Must have been a nudie branch. Yeah, with the short stubby tank, so that was kind of a freak out number one of the day because you got a Velcro strap on the back of your BCD. And it's kind of, at least mine, is kind of rigid. And especially at this time, I've only used it, you know, on a certain size tank, and it's kind of molded into place. And so it's like, okay, I've got this short, fat tank now. I got to adjust this strap to fit this tank, so I got to let some out. And it's just like, there's a fishy fella. And, you know, I'm trying to guess how much to do that because, you know, too little and you can't wrap the strap around too much and the tank's too loose. So that was like my first freak out of the day. I take a long time to get ready, man. It takes a long time for me to get all this gear, and I hate people waiting on me. It ended up being totally fine. First of all, the boat ride was like 40 minutes long. But we were strapping up gear on the dock, and people are in the boat, and I was already in the second car to the dock, and I was just, so that was my first freak out of the day, and that's really when I was like, I'm not taking my camera out and futzing with it on the way there. But I finally, I got adjusted right and got it attached to the BCD, and I love this tanks a lot better, because usually, including this past weekend, hold on, is this the, yeah, look at this. This was the coolest effect of the whole dive to me. You know, it almost looks like there was some kind of optical illusion there. It looked actually better in person, but you can kind of see it on the camera too, where it looks like the rocks are moving and the anemones are staying fixed in a fixed place. Yeah, I guess I got caught in some kind of harmonic rhythm with the wave motion, and I was lined up perfectly with the anemones, and I was floating along, and it looked like I was staying still and the rocks were moving. It was just the weirdest thing I saw all day. It's very disorienting almost, but it's like, man, what am I looking at here? Anyway, but yeah, about the European dive changes. So first thing we did was we met at the dive shop, which was not on the coast. We dressed up in our wetsuit at the dive shop, which I've never done before. Yeah, that's a good picture of the short stubby tank there. You can see it. Then we got in a car, in a van, in a truck, and drove to the dock with all our dive gear, you know, slung in the trunk. Got to the boat. I already mentioned the short stubby tank. We assembled some gear on the dock. Then we got in the boat, which was inflatable hull. Drove about 40 minutes out. Back rolled into the water. And the other big thing were the units, of course. So we stupid Americans have our own, what is it, imperial system, I think. And of course they're all metric, so she's asking for my air, like, the air was the biggest thing. Well, it started with the weights, so they got weights in kilograms over there, and I know pounds. And I don't do a lot of cold water, saltwater diving, so last time I dove in the ocean, in cold ocean water, was in Catalina, California, and I had 30 pounds on, according to my dive log. And I think that's about 16 kilograms, roughly. And, uh-oh, is this the end? No, I got 2 more left. Yeah, we're done with the dive, though. And so I told them, like, 16 kilograms, and their jaw dropped. They're like, what? You don't need that much. Well, I don't know. Last time I did this, I had 30 pounds. So I think I did this dive with, What did I do? I had 12 kilograms on. It was 6, yeah, 6, or wait, 2, 4, yeah, I had 12 total. 6 on each side. And I was severely overweighted. Yeah, I was big time overweighted, but I always feel like if I'm gonna choose, I prefer to be overweighted because we're about done here. Yeah, so there's the boat. You can see the fiberglass hull with the rigid inflatable around it.
How was it?
Good. Good.
Did you see the wreck?
The wreck?
Yeah.
Saw some pieces
There
of
were
it.
a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
We went a little bit further down there.
Okay.
Around 20-21 meters.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so close.
I think you're right. I think I'm a little overweighted.
Overrated?
I think so.
Okay. We'll take one piece out and we'll try to find a solution. Come on,
See, I'll do that. Then we'll be able to sink next time, though. When you did,
I'm trying to net in my head.
oh.